Okay. Hello, Harlem. I'm Terri Wisdom, and this is Harlem Network News. Harlem Network News, as many of you know, is a new media platform. We started at the onset of COVID, and today we are pre-recorded for our 4 o'clock Sunday hour. We're still here, and we consider that knowledge is power and a change for catalysts. And that is what Harlem Network News is about. We are the voice and drumbeat of Harlem. We air every Sunday at 4 p.m. on Facebook, and then at 7:30, we rebroadcast on Facebook and YouTube with specials during the week. We're on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, Clubhouse, Harlem Network News. We have a newsletter that comes out, and we're looking to soon live stream and public access television. You can reach us at Harlem Network News directly at 646-261-5397, or reach us at harlemnetworknews@gmail.com. If you have any breaking news, stories, sponsors, we are about community news and engaging the community. Today, we have a very, very special guest. When he came on, no pun intended, but I was like, okay, Mayor, quote, William Allen. We've had mayors of Harlem before and still do. So District Leader William Allen, appropriately, please introduce yourself to our audience and let us know who you are and whose you are. Thank you so much for joining and accommodating, because I know you're busy as I am, and as everyone in Harlem is.
Well, since this is airing tomorrow, Sunday at 4 o'clock, let me just say good afternoon or good day or happy Sunday. I am District Leader William Allen. I represent the 70th Assembly District, actually the southern portion of that district. My co-leader is District Leader Cordell Clear, who's also the New York State Senator for District 30. My presence here today is not so much to represent her as the senator, but to share our thoughts as district leaders here in Central Harlem. And hopefully what we share here today will educate people on the political process in Harlem and New York City and the state and the nation, so we can be very clear on our role and how we can choose to be accountable.
Okay, well, thank you, William Allen. And can you repeat and clarify, because you spoke about yourself as a district leader, and then you mentioned Cordell Clear as a district leader. And I know that Cordell Clear is currently our state senator, our new state senator. So can you just break that down for us?
Well, she's also still the district leader. And that means that she's a leader in the Democratic Party in Harlem. Along with her in the 70th Assembly District is Inez Dickens. She's a district leader who also is the Assemblywoman. Former Congressman Charles Rangel is a district leader. Okay. His successor, Adriana Espillat, is a district leader. Keith Wright, a former Assembly member who's now county leader, is also a district leader. Wilma Brown Phillips is a district leader. Griselle Ortiz Thompson is a district leader. And then we have one other, Lewis, oh my God, his last name always escapes me, I apologize.
Okay.
But our youngest district leader represents the western part of the Assembly District. He's in his 20s, and he's a district leader as well.
Okay, so this is Harlem Network News for those of you who are just joining us, and knowledge is power. And as always, why I love doing this show is because I learn something every day. I did not know that you could be an elected official. I knew you could be a official and be a district leader, but I did not know that you could be an elected official and be a district leader. So,
well, for clarification, district leaders are elected officials. You
Okay.
mean you did not know they can be elected public officials
Public officials,
and
yes.
party officials?
Thank you. Thank you. That's
Yeah.
what I mean to say. So always brilliant, William.
Yeah.
Thank you for that clarification. So what is the role of a district leader? What does the district leader do? How does the district leader impact the the elections? I know we just came off of a primary in June, and we have another primary coming up on the 23rd. But how does how do you impact the election, the people? What does the district leader do? Thank you.
A district leader is a party leader. District leaders in my case, I am a Democratic Party district leader. And that means that myself, Cordell Clear, Charlie Ringo, Inez Dickens, Keith Wright, for Central Harlem, we are the leaders of the Democratic Party in our community. And that means that we are the voice of Democrats in our community to the larger gathering of the party, which is the county committee and the state committee. And we make sure that ourselves and our neighbors who are Democrats are adequately heard in the party. And that means we also help to support our neighbors for public office, whether it's a judgeship or a municipal or state legislative seat or executive seat. We're actively involved in who gets those seats.
Okay, okay, okay.
Yep.
So that's an extreme amount of responsibility.
Yeah, and we don't get paid.
Okay, extreme responsibility.
No payment, no payment, no budget.
Okay, thank you so much. And I think most of Harlem is doing more than paid for. Even the children are doing more than paid for. Living in New York City is an intense life, and there are a lot of issues, a lot of concerns, and all of us, you know, stand firm. The factoid that the city never sleeps is real. Okay, so thank you so much for clarifying the role of a district leader and all of the things that are entailed. But if you could just speak to the audience and share a little bit about the June primary that we had, what the outcome of the June primary was, who was running, and who will be on the ballot in November. Because there is a November election, and just break that down so people are not confused.
So June was the regular primary that normally takes place this time of year, June, and it was the state assembly judgeship nominations for governor, lieutenant governor, attorney general, state controller. All those were on the ballot, as well as state committee members, male and female, and the Democratic Party and the Republican Party. In terms of other third parties, I'm not so clear in terms of what they do, but they pretty much follow the two major parties in terms of operations. So this year is kind of unique because this year we have two primaries taking place, one that already took place in June, and now we're going to have another one taking place on August the 13th.
Wow.
I mean, I'm sorry, August the 23rd.
23rd, yes. August.
And early voting starts on the 13th. And if you're an absentee voter, like I am sometimes, you've already got the mail to vote by absentee ballot in the mail already.
Okay.
So therefore that's what's coming up, and we need to make sure that people know that this election is taking place from August 13th through the 23rd. Early voting starts on the 13th. You can find out what you're voting, your early voting site, by calling 311 or going online vote.nyc. Or visiting some of the elected public officers and the community and asking them when is the election date. They normally have that stuff posted up on their walls Of course, they don't mention, if they're running, they won't mention themselves, but
Right.
they have an obligation to remind people exactly when the election is taking place.
Okay, excellent, 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 because a lot of people are confused. Now, can you just repeat and break down in terms of our nuclear Harlem community and any New York City public officials, who was running on the primary that took place in June, and who won, and what does that mean going towards November? And then we'll do a breakdown of the primary that's coming up. Thank you.
Well, everyone that held the seat before was reelected from our community. Inez Dickens was renominated. She's not reelected yet. She was renominated to be the Democratic candidate in the general election in November. And then the current governor and the current lieutenant governor, they were nominated.
Okay.
They won the nomination.
Okay.
And then you have judges that are out there running. They were nominated, but guess what? They have no opponent for this August. The only thing that's on the ballot for August is those who are running for the House of Representatives and those who are running for the state Senate. That's the only thing that's on the ballot in our district this August.
Okay, so when you say House of Representatives, just breaking it down, and I'm Terri Wisdom, this is Harlem Network News, and I'm here with District Leader William Allen. So House of Representatives translates into congressman or congresswoman. Am I correct?
Yes, I like to see it. They're really called representatives.
Representatives.
Yeah, because it's a little confusing when you say congressman and the question of a woman or what. So what is the U.S. senators? Well, they're members of Congress too. Congress is divided into two houses.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, Senate and the House of Representatives. So when you say Congress, that's an old archaic term that can be a little confusing for folks that really don't understand. So I tend to not say that. I'll say representatives. Our representative in the House of Representatives.
Okay, I love it.
A member of the House of Representatives.
I love it. I love it. I love it. That's why we have District Leader William Allen. He's always dropping that knowledge. I learned so much every time that District Leader William Allen is here. Okay, so the clarification now, in the June primary, we had just as far as our district, and what is the designated district number? We had the state senators race, and who were the people running in that state senators race?
Yeah, so that's why I said it's always so important to check with the Board of Election to just reconfirm your registration status. You should do that before every election, at least I would say 30 days out. That's my strongest recommendation. And if you're a Democrat, you're only going to see two positions on your ballot. One for representative in Congress, and the other for state senator. The congressional district is 16, and the state senatorial district is 30. Now, keep in mind, these two districts now, the lines are different because we just had a census completed for 2020. The state legislature has the responsibility of redoing the lines for the state and the congressional every 10 years. And so the lines are different. So you already saw what's happening south of Harlem. The seat that's currently occupied by Carol Maloney and Jerry Nadler, their seat now have somewhat been combined. And so now they are opponents. Jerry Nadler represents the Upper West Side. Only represent the Upper East Side, and now the Upper West Side and the Upper East Side has been combined. And so
that's wild. And thank you so much, District Leader William Allen, for just breaking that down. Because one of the reasons here at Harlem Network News that we do a little more of an in-depth discussion as opposed to the 2-minute sound bites is because a lot of the people don't really understand what's happening. You know, you're giving us a visual picture of what is happening. You know, those of us that reside in New York City, reside in the borough of Manhattan, we understand the East Side, the West Side. So now that you're saying, hey, the East Side and West Side are combined, these two people who, you know, pre-represented the West Side and the East Side are now being pit against each other. And what district is that?
I can't say
Okay.
the offhand. I
Okay,
don't.
we know the names.
I
Carol
apologize.
Maloney. Carol
Yeah,
Maloney's
but
the name.
I rather refer to. It's easy to refer to the
Yes,
neighborhood.
yes, yes. Thank you so
I'm a
much.
little confusing, you know.
Okay,
And if
okay,
people want to confirm their numbers, they should go to the Board of Elections website
okay.
and get that the information from the experts who maintain and manage that.
Excellent. Okay, so if you don't live in that district, then you will not be voting for those people. It is not going to be on your ballot. Is that correct?
That's correct. That's why I recommend that people should contact the Board of Election 30 days before each election to confirm their status and the districts in which they are able to vote in.
Okay, that's excellent.
Where they're registered voters.
Okay. And I know there's another big race that was on that Mayor de Blasio was in that he dropped out of. And I guess that has to deal with lower Manhattan and part of Brooklyn.
Yeah, all the congressional seats are up for re-elections in terms of House representatives throughout the entire state.
Okay, now let's ask a question. Our House of Representatives, and that is in the person of Congressman Adriano Espaillat. Is he up, or what's the story with that?
All the seats from
Wow.
the House representatives throughout the nation is up for re-election.
Oh,
All
wow.
435 seats are up for re-election.
Okay, so who's running in opposition to Congressman Adriano Espaillat?
I believe he has two opponents. And I normally don't call out names, but I think one is Spires or Spies. I've never met the person, so I can't really say any details about. People can research these people. And the other person is a Mike Hano.
Okay.
And all this information is, you can check with the Board of Elections, see if they're on your ballot. But so the congressman or the representative, Adriano Espaillat, has two opponents. Now, his district line, for some reason, is still very, very similar. I think only a small portion have been changed, but it's easy for people to look at. The Board of Elections is a wealth of information. If you go to Board of Election, you can look at the current congressional lines and the former and compare it. But the most important thing for voters that are listening on today is who do they get to vote for, and
right.
how do they get information on those people?
Okay. Okay. Well, thank you very, very much. And like I said, knowledge is being dropped, as we say in the community, like every second, because as we're looking at our regular cable channels, New York One. There's been a lot of talk about, Jerry Nadler, Carol Maloney, Brooklyn, but I'm not hearing anything about our district 13, which is our House of Representatives district, right, with Congressman Adriano Espaillat.
Oh, but you know why? I mean, you're not going to hear a lot about his because it's not contentious. You hear about Nadler and Maloney is because they got national attention. These are two seasoned people,
right,
headed at each other. And the district where Adriano Espaillat represent is not the same contentious election.
Okay, gotcha.
His two opponents, I'm a Democrat district leader and I never heard of them.
Right.
So that's to say that they're not qualified. I don't want to diminish anybody from running. It's democracy. Everybody can get the run for a seat. My point is that I tend to be a very active Democrat. Mm-hmm. And normally when people are running for office as a district leader, they normally would contact me.
Gotcha.
And Adriano's Espaillat opponents, none of them have ever contacted me.
Okay.
All my Democratic club.
Okay. Okay. All right. I'm Terri Wisdom, and this is Harlem Network News, and I am here with District Leader William Allen, and we're sharing a lot about the primary that happened in June. I know for our state senator. Now, what area does the state senator cover? Because that was part of the primary. I know that the names on the Democratic side that come up are Cordell Clear, who is our current state senator. And she became a state senator, correct me if I'm wrong, in a special election, taking over Brian Benjamin's seat when he became the lieutenant governor. And that is why she has to participate in the primary and run again in November. Her opponent, the person running against her, is Shauna Harmongoff. I don't know if anybody was in that election. I do know that it appears Cordell Clear won that primary, so she will be going to the November primary as a Democratic candidate. So can you just confirm that and the details of that? Because
yeah, so for state senate, the two candidates on the ballot is Sharman Harmon-Goff and Cordell Clear. And yes, Cordell Clear was chosen by other active Democrats last fall
mm-hmm.
to see Brian Benjamin, who held the seat
Right.
last fall when he was tapped to be lieutenant governor. And Cordell has been a district leader for nearly as long as I've been a district leader, and been very active in the community as a district leader and as a civic leader. She's former chief of staff for Bill Perkins when he was in the city council and the state senate, and then when he came back to the city council again. Shauna, I think, been active in Harlem politics only a few years. When she took a job with Brian Benjamin when he was elected state senator. In fact, Brian Benjamin won his seat just like Cordell won hers initially through county committee. It was a vacancy. And Brian had filled a vacancy in the state senate when Bill Perkins gave up that seat. So the state senate seat is kind of interesting. Initially, those who win the seat normally go through a vacancy process. Mm-hmm. And that's been going on since the 1960s.
Wow.
I think there might have been one exception back in the 90s, but largely it's been a seat that's always been filled through a vacancy.
Okay. So that's a very interesting phenomenon. So let me just get it all clear, because I think I said something that was
let's be clear.
Let's be clear. We want people to vote. We want them to get out there. Early voting, as you said, for the new primary that's coming up in August is the 13th. You shared that you'd already gotten your absentee ballot, ballot that you can mail in. And the actual voting date is the 23rd. If you have any confusion, call 311, the Board of Elections, to just get clear, who's running in your area. And so right now, coming up on the 23rd, and this is a second primary, which is unusual. We have members of Congress that are running, and that impacts our district as well, with Congressman Espaillat, and there are other candidates that are running against him. So I'm going to research that, make sure that our audience knows who those candidates are. And that district involves Central Harlem, a bit of East Harlem, the Heights, a little bit of Inwood, and a bit of the West Bronx. And that is what that district looks like. That is the district that prior to Congressman Espaillat is the district that Congressman Charles Rangel held for 46 years. And prior to that, it was our, incredible, first Black Congressman, Adam Clayton Powell Jr. So that's the district that we're looking at. But the district changed once again because of that every 10 years redistricting from what was when Congressman Rangel started to what this district looks like now, which is much broader and way more diverse. Now, in the state senator, that's coming up for clarification on August 23rd as well, correct?
Well, remember, you got to announce. You just can't just say the 23rd. You got to call the 23rd primary election date.
The primary election.
Because of early voting, we now have about 9 or 10 days of voting in person. And so the first day to vote in person is August the 13th.
Okay, great.
But it's not going to be at the same site that you normally vote for on the primary day. So that's why it's important to check with the Board of Election to confirm the location. It's very, very important. You want to make sure you go to the right location.
Okay, thank you for that. And this is Harlem Network News. I'm Terri Wisdom. And as most of you know, we are a new media platform. We've been on since the onset of COVID, and we're still here. And we are here to make sure Harlem and the Harlems of the world are informed. And of course, the broader world, all eyes on Harlem. I consider that we are, quote, what is the mecca of the Black and brown world. And we have a lot going on. So, we have District Leader William Allen here today to give us some clarity in terms of what's going on with the voting. We encourage everyone to get out to vote. It matters, we matter. And I know that it's a little bit of confusion because we have two primaries this year. Mr. District Leader William Allen, why do we have two primaries this year? What happened?
Well,
that's not normal.
Well, the state redistricting commission came up with a set of maps for state and congressional districts, and a contentious group disagreed with their maps, took them to court, and a judge decided to redo the lines for the congressional seats, which is the House of Representatives, and the state senatorial seats. They did not touch the assembly seats, but they touched the state senatorial seats, and they actually changed the lines. For example, the 30th state senatorial district, which is now held by Cordell Clear, the new lines had maintained a great portion of East Harlem. Now the new lines, based on the judge, has really cut out East Harlem substantially. East Harlem is now cut out of the district, which is quite unfortunate. Places like Lakeview and Schaumburg, which were staples in the state senatorial district since Bill Perkins.
Wow.
That's no longer in. That's why I said people got to check for the election.
Wow.
Sure that they're in the district that they think that they're in, and get clarification. And let me just say this, often during election time, I run into people on the street and they'll say things like, "Oh, we don't see you politicians during times of election." And I just think that is so unfair, because what I say to them, I said, if you're now just seeing a politician during this season, that means that you have been invisible. That you, as an American citizen, have a responsibility to stay active in your community and stay in touch with your elected representative. They send out a plethora of mail. And for full disclosure, these last 8 months or more, or at least, I've been working closely with State Senator Cordell Clear, who's my co-district leader.
Okay.
I've seen the amount of mail and her outreach. It's let me tell you, it's a lot. And so I really want to encourage voters And if you call yourself an American citizen, you got to become more active in the democracy. You got to find out who your elected officials are. You got to ask questions. You got to stay engaged. You got to make sure there's a block association in your block, a tenant group. Let's stay active, because that whole quote of "I don't see people unless it's election time" does not speak to the politician. It speaks to the voter who's not active in the community.
Yes, yeah, and I understand and I overstand. It's a lot to keep up with. Even sitting in this seat at Harlem Network News, I constantly have on like all of the news channels, that are pertinent to New York. I'm listening to New York One. I'm listening to the local stations. I'm listening to CNN. I'm listening to MSNBC. I'm listening to Black Network Radio with the iHeart. You know what I'm saying? I'm listening to BAI. I'm listening to everything, which you can do from your home, and then get on your public officials mailing list if you're not on. This way, you will get their newsletter. You'll get different events that are coming up, and that helps you to know what happens. And as we know, everything that happens on the local level, the state level, the federal level, it directly impacts what is happening to us. In the city council, a budget just passed, and there was a lot of contention about this budget and how the budget is impacting the schools. And, our council member here, Christian Richardson Jordan, she was among the 6 that did not vote for the budget because, she thought that there were going to be some issues and concerns for our community. And there were, teachers and different things that are being pulled because the budget is based on one student, one amount of money. And right now, because of COVID, that has changed up a lot. So there are actually a group of parents who have challenged this budget on the education level. So it does impact you directly. They are saying they don't even know. The chancellor is saying, because of all this back and forth, Chancellor Banks, that we don't know if school is going to open on time. So we have got to get active. We know that there are a lot of disparities that are going on in terms of economics, housing, everything. But with everything we have to deal with, we've still got to stay vigilant. It matters. We matter. So try to find out who your elected officials are. Their offices, a lot of them are in the Adam Clayton Powell Jr. State Office building right on 125th. If you have your ID, you can get right in the building and go visit them, get their literature. You can go to the council member, Christian Jordan Richardson. Her office is right across from the Harlem Y on 135th. I know she's got a lot of task force that meet different days of the week. She's doing something called Summer Hope, 4 to 8 in different blocks. So there's a lot going on. But I concur with you, William Allen. The public officials have got to come to the people, and the people have got to come to the public officials. And I applaud all the public officials that are, jumping in and coming on Harlem Network News, because as Harlem Network News, we are really working hard to do our part to ensure that people are informed and that people are engaged. And that's a tall mountain to climb, but we continue to climb. As you said, life for us has been no crystal stair, but we're still climbing. Okay, so we got the primary coming up. We've spoken about that. We know that we have a congressional race. We have the state senator race. We have Congressman Espeon running, and 2 other candidates that we're going to do a great research on and push out so people are aware. And then we also have the race for the state senator, which is in the person of our current state senator, Cordell Clear, and also Shauna Harmongarth is running against Cordell Clear. William Allen, since I have you here, and there's been some redistricting for the area of the state senator 30th district. And you spoke about Schaumburg, which is a large complex on 110th. They are now out of that state senator district. Okay, so what are the parameters, if you can share, of the state senatorship?
I would strongly encourage people to go to the Board of Elections and get the map. See, I like for people to get information from directly from the authorizing source.
Okay.
Because part of our problem as a people is sometimes we get third-hand information. And so I would like to direct people to the primary source so they can see the information themselves. And so the best way to get the district lines of any political seat for here in New York City and the ones that you can vote in is through the New York City Board of Election. Their website is incredible. Their website has all the maps.
Okay.
Go to the Board of Elections and get them. Go to your part as a voter and click on the map pertaining to you so you can see the boundaries. That's my strongest recommendation. And speaking of boundaries and lines, as you know, they're about to redraw the line for the city council.
Okay.
The New York City Redistricting Commission exists now, and thank God for the leadership of State Senator Cordell Clear and others who join her, like myself as a district leader. We have convinced the commission to hold a hearing in Harlem on August 22nd, and it's going to be held at the Schaumburg Center for Research in Black Culture, right across from Harlem Hospital. That's going to be on August 22nd. I'll be able to share in the coming Sundays, if you allow me to.
Oh, absolutely.
More information about that. I'll make sure that you get all the information pertaining to that. In fact, what I'm going to do, I'm going to send you 2 links today.
Thank you.
So you can look at it and we can start talking about that, Terry, and what does that mean?
Okay. And when you say the commission, what is the commission?
The commission is established by the New York City Charter. It convenes every 10 years, and its purpose is to look at city council lines and determine and making sure that the population and neighborhoods are best represented. People like Basil Patterson in the past was the chair of the commission, and now Dennis Warcock, who's former former chancellor and head of Urban League, is now the chair. Executive director is Professor John Flatteau out of Medgar Evers College, who is a political expert on these kind of census issues. He's really incredible. And so he's one of the key reasons why the hearing is going to take place in Harlem, because the commission they saw the impact. Right now, do you know that Manhattan only has 1 Black member of the city council?
Whoa.
I think it's Latinos have like 4 or 5. So out of the 10 city council members, African Americans only have 1 seat
in Manhattan.
Hispanics have 5.
Wow.
And the rest are white.
That's a powerful thought, a powerful circumstance. Do you think this is representative of the neighborhoods and what's happening?
Yes.
And we have to look at that, because race is an impact everywhere. And, people tend to vote for their race, the people that look like them, the people that talk like them, but it's very impactful into what's happening in the neighborhood. Because as we look at the city council and we speak about, the city council is very diverse, but this is Harlem Network News. I'm Terri Wisdom. I'm here with District Leader William Allen, but we don't think about it when you say, hey, there's only 1 Black person in the city council in New York, in
Manhattan.
In Manhattan. That's astounding. You know what I'm saying? That's an eye opener. That's a game changer, in terms of the representation. And it's very interesting because different groups do have different needs. different groups have different needs. And I think in looking at what the House of Representatives district looked like when Congressman Rangel was there for the bulk of the 46 years, and then how the redistricting changed. Right now, you have a whole district that a lot of the district has different needs, speaks different languages, so it's hard to give everybody everything that they need. So
Well, this is why political parties, some people talk badly about political parties, but political party is no more than like a neighborhood organization. And what I do as a Democratic district leader and my colleagues is to educate people and to get people involved civically.
Yeah.
For me and Cordell Clear, your new state senator and who's also a district leader.
Gotcha.
Under our leadership is 81 county committee members. And part of what we do is to keep them educated and keep them going back into their block to educate other Democrats and other voters about the process, so people can stay involved. Right now, we've been greatly impacted. We have a new city council person. Some people like her and some people don't.
Mm-hmm.
Some people felt that she was right on when she fought against the 145th Street project.
Yes.
Some people thought that she did it incorrectly. People are saying that 145th Street is going to stay a ghost town now for another 40 years because you can't get in anybody willing to do affordable housing. And the city and the state is not willing to pay 100% for that, right? Unfortunately. And so you got the first Black woman to head up the city council as a speaker did not have the support of our city council person. Mm-hmm. And so when you as a city council member don't support the incoming speaker, your community loses out. So here's what I'm saying. It's just not an indictment against the city council person, but it's really saying we need to learn as much as possible so whoever represents us, they can be properly guided by our wisdom.
Yes. I think that's
our emotion, our wisdom.
Yes.
And our wisdom, we should be able to sit down, all of us as elected in Harlem, there should be a way of sitting down. And Cordell, I got to give, like I said, not because I work with her and work for her, but I like the fact when someone says, I want to bring people together, that I sit down with all the electeds in the community and talk about where we need to head and how we should work. I think that's very, very important. And
I think it's very important too.
It's very important. I was first elected district leader. I saw Charlie Rangel doing that as the representative in Congress. He was also good locally. He put all the district leaders and all of us together to talk about what's ahead for us. And because of that, we were a strong political community. And we need to get back to that, because if we don't get back to being strong together, we will lose, guess what? A lot. We're going to lose a lot.
We will lose a lot. And this, as Harlem Network News, I do raise my hand and I do say that all of our public officials in this Harlem area need to work collectively. We need to all be on the same page.
They don't have to agree on everything.
Everybody does not have to agree.
They have to agree to be at the table together.
Yeah, everyone does need to be at the table, and they do not all have to agree. What I also, have understood and pointed out as far as the city council, to me, it was astounding. There were only 6 people that really did not vote for the budget. And as you said, our council member, Christian Richardson Jordan, did not vote for that budget, as did not another noted council member, Charles Barron. And it looked like there were going to be sanctions, economic sanctions, because they did not vote with the rest of the group. They did not vote in the full way that the rest of the group, and I had concerns about that because, in America, I didn't know you got sanctioned, but you do, or you can. However, we did not, from my understanding, and I'm still doing a deep dive on that, we did not lose money, the people who did not vote, the way the rest of the group voted, their names were not on the budget line next to the line of the money, but the money still came to us. But as you stated, it's good to be in favor with, the leader. It's good to be in favor, but at the same point,
actually, you don't have to be in favor. It just has to make good.
or in good. When I say favor,
good
we
sense.
have to clear favor means
Yeah, it
that
gotta
you
be.
get maybe
gotta make-
privileges.
Yeah, it just
So,
has to. Let me just say this. It just has to make good sense. At the end of the day, Charles Barron, while he didn't support the speaker or didn't vote on certain things, but guess what? He still delivered to that district. You go over to East New York, and all the stuff that him and his wife, his wife is in the state assembly,
yes,
delivered. So while he might look like he's a renegade or an outsider,
but he's delivered.
he's politically sophisticated and
Yes,
knows
yes.
how to play the game.
Mhm.
And Charles does meet with everybody.
Mhm.
And so for those young people that want to be in office, I would say, listen, everyone's not your enemy. You got to be able to sit down with people and let them hear your thoughts. And you got to hear their thoughts. And you might find that each of you might have something in your issues that you might have in common.
Mhm.
You might have in common. So you got to listen to one another, and it's all right to be respectfully disagreeable.
Okay.
You can say, listen, I hear your idea, but I respectfully disagree. I have the following options that I like for us to discuss to see if we can reach some kind of common ground.
Okay.
That's it. That's
Okay. So, William Allen, it looks like we're winding down, but no, we're in it. But I implore you and all the other district leaders to work for us and the county committee to try to bring together all of these, public officials to sit down at the table, because we don't want to lose. And right now, here in Harlem, we have so much going on. Everything that's happening nationally is a microcosm here. The gun violence, the economic disparity, the education disparity, medical disparity, housing. When I hear just, casually people on the news saying, oh, the mean rent in New York City is $5,000, and there aren't enough places, for people to move to. This sounds preposterous to me when here in the Harlem community, people are holed up wherever they're living just because they cannot move, given the economics of it. And they're in a situation where even if they're in NYCHA, they're in jeopardy of being pushed out of their homes. And let's be clear that people in NYCHA pay rent. They pay 1/3 of their income. So somebody in NYCHA could literally be paying $2,000. And I do want to share that at NAN, National Action Network, I believe at 12:30 today, the head of HPD is going to be there speaking. So if you're in the area, or you can get it, and you can get it virtually, because there are some extreme issues happening at Esplanade Gardens, regarding capital improvements, and just, there's a lot of blood on the floor, and it really, really, really needs to be addressed. A lot of people that are in Esplanade Gardens are seniors, and that does bring me to the point. I know that Cordell Clear is having a senior event that's coming up, and that's our state senator, Cordell Clear. Thank you for sending that to me. It's National Senior Citizens Day in Harlem, and that'll be Wednesday, August 22nd. It starts at 11 a.m.
No, August 17th.
17th, I'm sorry. I'm looking at 2022. I'm looking at the flyer. So let me get my reading together. It's August 17th, this month coming up. It's at 11 a.m. Lunch is provided, and it's going to be outside the state office building. Is that correct?
Yes, on the plaza.
Oh, wow. It's going to be on the plaza. There's going to be food, vendors, music, as well.
Yeah. So,
Tell
I'm on a planning committee of that, and so we're looking for vendors. In fact, I'm gonna be walking the street today and tomorrow, hitting up all the restaurants from 110th to 125th Street. I'm gonna do that this weekend. Next week, I'm gonna start hitting the rest of the district. We're really trying to we really want to have like a taste of Harlem. So please encourage all the restaurants that you know to reach out to State Senator Clear's office so they can participate. We're not charging any vendor to rent the space at the plaza. This is really a community event, and we want community people. Out of this event, we're hoping to also establish a community vendors program where they can be incubated and supported. And so details about that going to be coming up soon as well.
Okay, so we have a lot of work to do, and it's important. So I think that was important. That was a piece that I wanted to mention. And, just a reminder to stay tuned for the primaries that are coming up on the 23rd. And District Leader William Allen, can you just share what the impact of these primaries are on the November election? What does that mean? Because there's also one other little thing that's very, very important that I heard, and maybe you can break it down, that you now have the option, if you're a Republican, to change your status to Democrat in order to vote in the Democratic primary, and then you can change it back so you can be a Republican. And, I guess in the November elections, if you're a Republican or a Democrat, you can still vote on everything. So can you break it down? Because I'm unclear.
Yeah. Well, first of all, again, you got 10 days to vote in the primary. So I always want to make that clear. We don't have like election day anymore. We have election days. So we got to make sure that people hear election days. So the election days for this cycle is August 13th through August the 23rd. And people can also start voting by absentee ballots. But, when you vote by absentee ballot, that means that you submitted an application and made that request. Those who are nominated in this primary election days will be the candidate of their political party in the November general election. So that's what that means. So, for example, there were some people that won the nomination in the June primary. So those people will be back on the ballot in November if they have an opponent. So the candidate the people that's chosen in June and the folks that is chosen in August, if they have no opponents, they will be on the ballot in November. We're now listening to Harlem Network News. I'm William Allen, District Leader.
Thank you, William. I love it. I had to step away for 30 seconds, if that, but you came on in. That's why William Allen is indeed our political analyst, and we're going to have him on a few more times, even if we have to do it as a special, because this is that critical. But can you break down what is happening with the fact that you can change from a Republican to a Democrat and change back?
I'm still researching that. There was some kind of snafu in the election law, which now is being currently researched. Normally, you can change parties or something during the primary season, and then you're kind of locked into that. So I got to really just go ahead and do some research on that. I don't have enough. I'll come back and we can discuss that in detail.
Okay, because I think that's important. Yeah, I think that's important because on major news, they just in a very broad brush way said, oh, I guess the day of the election on the 23rd, you can walk in, change what you are, at the ballot. I don't know if that's true.
Can I also suggest this to you, Terry? You should be on the list with the State Board of Election, the national and the local, and through their public affairs units, so you can always get their press releases. Because in their press release, they normally share this information. So you and I offline can talk about how you can access that.
Okay, I
Yeah.
thank you for that.
Yeah.
I'm a proverbial student, as we all are. You know, we got to keep going to the conventions and dust ourselves up. I know that even this weekend in Atlanta, there's the National Convention of Black Doctors, and they have a lot going on too. So we'll be reporting about that. But you know, doctors have to continue to hone their skills and go to conferences. So we've all got to do the same.
That's right.
This has been a very robust conversation. District Leader William Allen, political analyst for Harlem Network News. Can you just give us a few closing words, closing statements, and high points that people need to remember and that I need to remember? Thank you.
Yeah. So Terry, thank you always so much for inviting me and having me to share from my perspective. There's a lot of perspectives out there, and certainly I don't want to close the door on those opportunities for anybody. At the end of the day, for me, voting is part of our democracy, and the more we know about the process and participating, the more we can do for ourselves and our families and our communities and our neighborhoods. This election, like all elections, are very important. Every generation talks about that this is the election of the generation. Well, every election is an election of the generation, and we all got to participate, and there's no excuse not to participate. It is not sexy or attractive to say that you don't vote and you don't care and that you blame somebody else for things that you have not done yourself. We all must be engaged. We all must be held accountable. And at the end of the day, that's how we continue to build community. And let me just say something as an African-American, because sometimes we get lost in the sauce. I am a Black man, and I do have a bias when it comes to Black people. And so I want to say that because sometimes we get lost in this. Every other group can speak about who they are. And when it comes to us, we got to say we are the world. We got to be proud. We got to recognize as Black people what our power are and what our responsibility is to each other, and then the leadership that we can provide to other people. But right now in Manhattan, Harlem, we are losing Black population like never before. In fact, there are now more African Americans in East Harlem than there is in Central Harlem.
Right.
And it's largely due because we have stopped coming to meetings. We have stopped advising our elected officials, and we have given up the fight. And I believe that if we had continued the fight, continued to go to meetings, continue to participate, we would not have lost our numbers. We would get the kind of affordable housing that we're looking for. Because if you look at Harlem and the things that we got in the past, because we was at the table and we fought for it. And for some reason, we believe that once we won something, we don't have to fight for it anymore. That is not true.
And there is no progress without struggle. That's real.
That's right. Frederick Douglass said it best. You know, there is no progress without struggle, never have and never will. So please stay at the table, stay engaged, make voting sexy, take your children to the polls, take your parents to the poll, stay involved, be nosy, be inquisitive, be caring, but most importantly, also choose to be a leader too.
Okay. Well, thank you, District Leader William Allen. I'm Terri Wisdom. This is Harlem Network News. And I always know that we're going to learn and we're going to be informed when District Leader William Allen comes on. He's very knowledgeable. And, you know, we've been trying for a couple of weeks to get together with scheduling, but this has been critical. It's been important. I learned so many things. You know, the fact that you can be a district leader and an elected public official, that there's a meeting coming up of the New York City Charter Committee. Redistricting and you know,
and it's going to be held right here in Harlem at the Schaumburg on August 22nd.
Right.
August
I
22nd.
love it. So,
In fact, Senator Clear got citizen letters going out where people can sign their own letter to the commission demanding that hands be kept off of Harlem.
all right. I love
because they were trying to divide the district up. They were trying to give it to other people and eliminate us.
I love it. I love
so
it.
we got to fight for what's ours.
Hands up, hands on, hands off. Right. You know, whatever it is that we need. And one of the things that I feel is there should be a moratorium on Harlem and building these high rises that are unaffordable. And I don't know how within the government that can happen, but a moratorium needs to happen on that. Hands off Harlem. You know, that's a very real factor. And the fact that we can get engaged, Harlem Network News is in the process, and you'll hear about this in terms of doing some initiatives to bring home our sister, Brittany Griner, not bundle her with anybody else. Her situation is different. You know, I'm not saying that Paul Weiner doesn't need to come home, but let's not bundle Brittany with him, because it's a different thing, and let the movement swell from the people, and we will keep you posted on that.
That's right.
So Harlem Network News, you can reach out to us at 646-261-5397 or at harlemnetworknews@gmail.com. Hit us up on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Clubhouse. We're here and we're not going anywhere. So thank you, District Leader William Allen. And how can they get in touch with you and, you know, to just try to keep the information going, or, you know, we'll post.
My email address is William Allen, ALLEN, NYC@gmail.com. And my telephone number, believe it or not, I give it out, is 917-612-2871. My email again is William Allen, NYC@gmail.com. And my telephone number is 917-612-2871.
Okay, so I love it. There's so much going on. We're going to get over to the National Action Network this afternoon so we can see and hear what HPD has to say, because they're controlling a lot and we need to make them accountable as everybody, and we need to understand what's happening. I know that Councilmember Gail Brewer has something going on 64th Street today. You know, dealing with the Amsterdam district, and I believe district leader is going to be there. Jamani Williams is going to be there. So there's a lot going on in New York City, you know, and a lot of this just costs your time, not necessarily money, but it can and will change your life. So stay involved. Thank you so much and have a great day.
Okay. Have a great day.
I love it. Okay. And we'll talk, William. Thank you. Thank you so much. Yes. Happy Sunday. We're pre-recorded. So thank you. Harlem Network News coming to you live.